Introduction. My name is Melinda. I am 26 years old. For some time, I had a quiet and simple life. I worked at a small cafe in a part of the city that was not very busy. The cafe felt comfortable, a little old-fashioned, with a few tables and the smell of fresh coffee. My job was simple. I served coffee, tea, and sometimes a few cakes or sandwiches. My daily life was mostly the same. I worked hard, but I did not earn a lot of money. I often worried about having enough money to live and help my family. Life felt difficult sometimes because of this. I wanted something more, something different, but I did not know what it would be. One afternoon, the door of the cafe opened and a woman walked in. She looked very different from our usual customers. She seemed very rich. Her clothes were very expensive and perfectly clean. She had beautiful jewelry. Her face was beautiful too, but her expression was very serious and cold. She did not look around the room with interest. She looked straight ahead. She sat at a table in the corner. I went to take her order. She asked for a black coffee. When I brought it, she did not drink it immediately. She looked at me for a long time without speaking. It made me feel a little nervous. Then she started to speak. She told me her name was Celeste. She said she was the stepmother of a man named Patrick. And then she told me something that made my heart beat very fast. She made me an offer. A surprising offer. She offered me a lot of money. She said she would give me $1 million. I could not believe my ears. $1 million. It was an amount I could only dream of. But this large amount of money was for a very strange thing. Celeste wanted me to marry her stepson, Patrick. I was confused. Why me? I did not know this man. I had never met him. Celeste explained that Patrick was in the hospital. He was very sick. He was in a coma. This meant he was sleeping, but he could not wake up. He could not move or talk or open his eyes. He was completely still. Celeste told me she needed me to marry him quickly. There was a special condition for the $1 million. I had to sign a legal paper called a contract. This contract said clearly that if Patrick died while we were married, I would not take any money from him or his family. I would only receive the $1 million from Celeste. It was a very, very strange request. Marry a man who was unconscious, a man I did not know, and agree not to take his money if he died. It felt unnatural and maybe wrong. But I thought about my problems. I thought about the lack of money in my life. $1 million would solve all my problems. It could help my family have a better life. I could stop worrying every day. After thinking for a short time, I made a difficult decision. I told Celeste yes. I agreed to marry Patrick. The marriage ceremony was not like a normal wedding. It was very fast and secret. It happened in an office building, not a church or a wedding hall. There was a lawyer there with many papers ready for me to sign. There was also another man in a formal suit. He said a few words, like a person performing a marriage, but it did not feel real. It was all done in just a few minutes. There were no friends, no family, no music, no happy faces. Only serious faces and the sound of papers. I signed my name many times. My name became Melinda, wife of Patrick. I married a man I did not know, a man who was in a coma. Later, I learned the truth about that day. I learned that the lawyer and the man in the suit were not truly independent. They were paid money by Celeste to do this. They were bribed to make the marriage happen quickly and quietly, without questions. But at that moment, I did not know this. I just signed the papers and became a wife. My simple life was finished. A very strange, new life had begun. 2. The man I married. He was a young man. He was 30 years old. His name was Patrick. He was handsome, people said. But I saw him only in a hospital bed. He lay very still. He did not move his hands or his feet. He did not open his eyes. He did not speak any words. He was in a deep sleep, like a coma. This was the man I married. We married on that day. It was not a normal wedding. There were no flowers, no music, no happy people. It was quiet. I stood beside his bed. My hand touched his hand, which was cold. I said the words. Someone else said words too. It was finished quickly. I was now his wife, Melinda Patrick. After the wedding, I left the hospital. I went to his house. It was a very big house. People called it a mansion. It was beautiful and large, but it felt cold inside. This was my new home now. I moved my few things into a big room. It felt strange to be there. I was his wife, but he did not know me. I felt like I was just a name on a piece of paper. It did not feel real. Celeste lived in the mansion too. She was his stepmother. She watched me all the time. Her eyes followed me when I walked from one room to another. She did not smile at me. She spoke to me, but her voice was not kind. I felt like she was waiting for something. There were many people who worked in the house. They were the staff. The cooks, the cleaners, the people who worked in the garden. They looked at me when I walked past. I could hear them sometimes. They spoke in low voices. They whispered to each other. I knew they were talking about me. They did not say hello. They did not seem happy that I was there. I was the wife of the man in the hospital bed. I lived in his big house, but I was alone. The man I married was a stranger. He was sleeping far away, even though I was in his home. Celeste watched. The staff whispered. It was a strange and quiet life. I did not know what would happen next. I was just a name on a paper, living in a large, silent house with people who did not like me and a husband who did not know I existed. 3. The mansion with secrets. I tried to live quietly in the big mansion. It was a very large house. It had many rooms. It felt strange to be there. I was Patrick's wife, but I did not know him. I just walked in the quiet halls. I did not talk to many people. The staff were there, but they did not talk much to me. They watched. I felt their eyes on me sometimes. It was not easy to live quietly. One day I was in a room. It was like an office or a study. I looked at some things. I found a photo. It was a picture of Patrick. He looked happy in the photo. There was a woman with him. She was smiling. She was very pretty. I did not know her. Later, I heard her name was Eva. I also heard that she was missing. This made me think, why was she missing? Why was her photo here? Then I met Patrick's cousin. His name was Leo. He came to the mansion. He was polite. He smiled a lot, but he asked many questions about me. He seemed too interested in my life. Where did I come from? What did I like? How did I meet Patrick? I felt a little uncomfortable. Why did he want to know so much? I also heard the staff talking. They did not know I was near. They were quiet, but I heard some words. They said something about me. They said, "She's not the first." These words were strange. Not the first what? The first wife? The first woman in the mansion. It made me feel cold. All these things were like pieces of a puzzle. The quiet mansion, the missing woman in the photo, the too interested cousin, the staff's words. I started to feel like I was in a story, a big story, a story with secrets. I did not understand it, but I felt like I was now a part of it. It was a feeling I did not like. I was just a simple girl. I came from a small cafe. Now I was in a big house with many secrets, and I did not know what would happen next. For the truth hides, one night something strange happened. A nurse came to me. She gave me a small piece of paper. On the paper there were words. The words said, "They are using you." I did not understand fully, but I felt a cold feeling inside. Who were they? What did it mean? I thought about it for a long time. After that night, I started doing something new. Every day, I went to be with Patrick. I sat beside his bed. I started to read to him. I read from books. I read stories. I read slowly and clearly. I thought maybe my voice could help him. Maybe he could hear me somewhere deep inside. Day after day, I sat there. I read to him. I watched his face. It was still. He did not move, but I kept reading. Something started to change inside me. At first, I was just doing this because I was told to be his wife. But slowly, sitting there reading, I started to feel something different. I started to care for this man. This man I married but did not know. I felt a quiet hope. Then, one day, something amazing happened. I was reading a story. It was a quiet afternoon. I was sitting in my chair next to his bed. I was reading the words on the page. Suddenly, I saw a small movement. It was his hand. His fingers moved just a little bit. My heart jumped. I stopped reading. I watched him closely. Was it real, or was I just hoping too much? Then his eyes moved under his eyelids. My breath stopped. I waited, and then slowly his eyes opened. He looked around the room. His eyes were open. Patrick was awake. After so long, he was awake. I felt a mix of happiness and fear. I looked at him. He looked back at me. His eyes were confused. He did not smile. He did not say my name. He looked at me like I was a stranger. I spoke his name softly. Patrick. He looked at me for a long time. Then he spoke. His voice was quiet but strong. "Who are you?" he asked. He did not know me. I told him my name. I told him I was his wife. He looked at me with surprise. He did not believe me. He looked angry and confused. The truth was hiding. He was awake, but he did not know his own wife. 5. A stranger's wife. Patrick was awake, but he was full of confusion and anger. He did not know me. He looked at me and asked, "Why would I marry a stranger like you?" His voice was loud and strong. He did not remember anything about our marriage. He did not remember the contract. He only saw a woman he did not know living in his house and saying she was his wife. He was very upset. He had many arguments with Celeste. He asked her many questions. He wanted to know what happened. He wanted to know why he was in bed for so long. He did not trust her answers. He did not trust anyone who came near him. He felt alone and lost. He did not trust me at all. He thought I was part of the reason for his confusion. It was a difficult time in the mansion. Patrick was angry, and Celeste was quiet but watching. The staff stayed away from him. I felt strange being there, being his wife when he did not know me. But I remembered the nurse's note. I remembered that they were using me. I felt I had to stay. I felt I had to help Patrick if I could. I decided to try simple things. I wanted to show him I was not like the others he did not trust. I started by making sure he ate well. I made simple, healthy food in the kitchen. I put it on a nice plate and took it to his room. I did not talk much. I just brought the food and left it for him. Then I started to bring him books. Not difficult books, but books with pictures of nature or simple stories about places. I thought maybe reading would help his mind. I would leave the books near his bed. Sometimes I sat quietly in a chair far from him while he looked at the pictures or read a little. Sometimes I tried to make him smile. I told him simple, funny stories I remembered. Or I told him about things I saw in the garden. He did not laugh at first. His face stayed serious. But I kept trying, little by little, each day. Slowly, I began to see a change in Patrick. His strong anger started to become less. It was not a fast change, but a very slow one, like the sun moving across the sky. He stopped shouting so much. He still did not trust people easily, but his constant anger towards me began to fade. He started to look at me differently. Before, his eyes were hard and full of questions and anger when he saw me. Now, his eyes were still full of questions, but the hardness was going away. He watched me when I brought the food. He watched me when I brought the books. He listened when I spoke quietly. He started to see that I was not asking for anything. I was not lying to him. I was just there, trying to help in small ways. He began to look at me like I was a real person, not just a stranger or a strange wife, but Melinda. Someone who was kind to him when he was confused and angry. This slow change gave me hope. 6. The will. Melinda was in the mansion. She walked into an office. It was a large room with many books. It smelled old. Sunlight came through the window. She saw some papers on a big desk. They were tied with a ribbon. They looked important. Melinda felt she should not touch them, but she did. She picked them up. The papers were a will. A will is a paper that says who gets money and things when a person dies. It was Patrick's father's will. His father died many years ago. Melinda knew this. She sat down and started to read the words. It was not easy to read. The words were old and formal, but she read slowly and tried to understand. The will talked about Patrick. It said Patrick would receive money from his father. This money was a large amount, but the paper said there was a condition. A condition is something that must happen before you get something. The will said Patrick would get the final part of this money only if he was married. He had to be married before a specific date. This date was before his 31st birthday. Melinda read the date again. She thought about Patrick's age. He was 30 years old now. His birthday was coming very soon. Suddenly, everything was clear. She understood why Celeste wanted her to marry Patrick so quickly. Why Celeste offered her $1 million. It was not for love. It was not for Patrick's happiness. It was only for the money. Patrick had to be married before his 31st birthday to get the last part of his father's money. Celeste needed this to happen, and she used Melinda to make it happen. Melinda felt a cold feeling inside. She was just a tool in Celeste's plan, a way to get the inheritance. She looked at the papers again. They held the secret of why she was married to a man she did not know. It was all about money, not love or family, just money. She put the papers back on the desk carefully. The office felt different now. It felt heavy with the truth. She had married a stranger, not for her own money, but so he could get his father's money because of a condition in a will. 7. The ones who lied. Life in the mansion was strange, even after Patrick woke up. Then one day, Eva came back. She was the woman from the photo. Eva was angry. She shouted loudly. She said that Patrick belonged to her. She said I should leave. Patrick did not understand. He did not remember Eva. He did not remember anything from before the hospital. He was confused and upset. Eva stayed at the mansion for a few days. She talked to Patrick. She tried to make him remember her, but I saw something else. One night it was dark. I looked out the window. I saw Eva in the garden. She was not alone. She was with Leo, Patrick's cousin. They were talking quietly. They were standing very close. It did not look like a meeting between cousins. It looked like they liked each other very much. This made me think, why was Eva shouting at me about Patrick if she was with Leo? Were they together? This was a secret. Patrick started to ask questions. He asked me about Eva. He asked Leo questions. He asked Celeste questions. He wanted to know the truth about everything. About why he married me, about his father's will, about Eva. Slowly, the truth came out. Patrick found out that Eva and Leo were lovers. They were together. They were not cousins who just met in the garden. They had a plan, and Celeste helped them. Celeste did not want Patrick to get the money from his father's will. She wanted it for herself or maybe for Eva and Leo. She lied to everyone. She paid the lawyer. She paid the man who acted like a priest at the hospital. She paid them to help her. She made the marriage happen so Patrick would get the money, but then she wanted to control it. Eva and Leo were part of her plan. They wanted to stop Patrick. They wanted the money. Learning this truth made Patrick very angry. He felt hurt by the people he thought he could trust. He knew they lied to him and to me. The mansion did not feel safe anymore. Then something terrible happened. Patrick went outside to his car. He opened the door. Suddenly, there was a big noise. His car exploded. Fire went everywhere. Patrick was standing near it. He fell to the ground. Someone tried to kill him. It was another part of the bad plan. The people who lied wanted Patrick gone forever. 8, married for real. Patrick was very upset. He had learned many bad things. He knew Celeste, Leo, and Eva had lied to him for a long time. He knew they only wanted his money. They even tried to hurt him badly. It was a difficult time for him. He made a big decision. He told everyone who worked for him that they must leave his house. This included Celeste, his stepmother, who had planned many things. He did not want any more lies or bad people close to him. Then he called the police station. He spoke to the police and told them everything that had happened in the mansion. He told them about the lies and the danger. The police came to the big house. They talked to Leo and Eva for some time. After that, the police took Leo and Eva away with them. They would go to the police station to answer questions about their actions. Patrick felt very tired after all this. He also felt very sad about his family member and his friend who had lied to him. He felt alone for a moment. Then he looked for me. He found me in a quiet room in the mansion. It felt strange in the house now, more empty. He walked to me slowly. His face looked serious and a little hurt. I could see his eyes were wet with tears because of everything. He stopped in front of me. He looked at me for a long time, thinking. Then he spoke. His voice was quiet and true. He said, "Melinda, through all this time, you are the only person here who did not lie to me or try to hurt me." He reached out and took my hands in his hands. His hands were warm and strong. He looked into my eyes deeply. A small, real smile came to his face. The first time we married was not real for us, he said softly. It was because of money and built on many lies. He held my hands a little tighter, like he did not want to let go. But now, he said, everything is different. I know the truth about them. And I know you, Melinda. He smiled more now, a hopeful smile. Will you marry me again? He asked. This time, for real, not because of a contract, but because of us, because I want to be with you. My heart felt very full and happy. I looked at Patrick, the man who was my husband on paper for months, but now felt like a true partner. I smiled back at him with all my feeling. Yes, Patrick, I said clearly and strongly. Yes, I will marry you again, for real. There was no contract needed this time. Money was not important at all. There were no secrets or bad plans between us. It was just Patrick and me standing together. It was about starting our life again together. It was about trust growing between us. It was about a real feeling that felt like love. Our first marriage was empty and fake. This new marriage would be full of hope and truth. It would be built on real feelings. It would be built on love.